Okay, so Matt, so this is a recurring bit on the podcast that our listeners, we have a lot of focus groups, and our producers are like really in touch with the community in a way that's makes me proud of them. Shout out to our producers, but they've told me that our audience is I think the number was like 26%, 27% Metal Gear Solid diehard fans like myself. So I actually have some great news that is kind of a continuation of some pod lore that we had. I think we've talked about it a few times so far, but how in Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, there is a cutscene that had not been unlocked. Do you remember this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this cutscene had not been unlocked yet, out of anyone playing this game. It had only been data mined. And in the cutscene, you were congratulated for denuclearizing the entire world, meaning every single player in the world playing this game per platform has had their nuclear weapons on their base that they maintain forcibly what's the term, deactivated. I don't know the technical term for denuclearization, but basically online you can go and invade people's bases and either steal their nukes, set them off, or deactivate them, because the theme of the whole franchise really in Metal Gear Solid is denuclearization and anti-war. And this cutscene, Matthew, has just been seen by people legitimately. The PlayStation 3 community for Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, has successfully denuclearized the entire world today, yesterday, July 27th. And what's really cool about this announcement is not announcement that it's this unlock in the game is that active players are honored in the cutscene. So I would like to thank Steph MG, GoBro21187, Raphael Vinny, Ted Mulekino, Call Me Alice 69, nice, Abrek 1989X, Chef Quet, Itsuko Shido 990. You know who you are. Who's this guy? Game Sharers Unite. That guy sounds cool. DJ Chewy 420. Hell yeah. Yeah, I'd like to congratulate, honestly, DJ Chewy 420 the most out of all these people, but I'd like to congratulate the whole PS3 Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain community for successfully denuclearizing the world, furthering the vision of the boss. Shout out to the boss. And really, I think it's I love this stuff, and it's just like genuinely exciting to me that this like crazy game mechanic that didn't come into play until years after the game came out finally came about. But also, it's just, I don't know, I think it's objectively pretty impressive. And I was really excited to see that. The cutscene is really cool. I've seen it before, it's been data mined, but I was very proud that people actually came together and did something positive for once.
So everybody you listed, that was the entire active player base, right?
No, there are a number. There's quite a few more in this video. And I don't think the video, probably because this is like a cutscene of a certain length. There's like a narration going on while the names are on the screen. So they have to cut it at some point. They have, I don't know, maybe like 100 or so names on the screen. And then they say like, and the whole community or something like that. So there's more than DJ Chewy 420 isn't the only, active mercenary out there. A military, he's not the only active military sans frontiers that's denuclearizing the world. Matt.
Theme song.
This is the Motion Pixels podcast. I'm your co-host, August Meyer. August, say hello. Greetings, listeners, watchers. Yo. Joined by my co-host, Matthew Rawlings. Matthew, say hello.
Hello.
Because this is the Motion Pixels podcast. This week, we have thoughts, questions, comments, concerns, all of which will be addressed. And chief among them is that for the past 3 weeks, I've been sitting on having watched Japan Sinks 2020 2020's best anime, and have not had anyone to talk at about it. So
Talk
I will
at.
be.
Yep. That's
I
what's
will
going to
be-
happen here right now.
So I will be talking at Matthew about Japan Sinks 2020's best anime, among other things. Matthew and I have jumped back into the Destiny 2 Dunk Tank, and it's been great. Honestly, it's been pretty cool. So we were going to talk about that. We have other thoughts to spew, other takes to emulsify in your brains, for all sorts of subjects, that many people like to listen to, many people like to watch, people talk about, many people are interested in. Certainly all of our listeners, The Last of Us 2, Last of Us Part 2, very controversial game that we've talked about. Not at all. I think I talked about it once for like a minute and then Matt cut it out because it was boring or something. I don't know. Maybe I didn't.
But you started to talk about it, and then we started talking about like something else. Like you mentioned dogs, and then it went off on a tangent. So.
Oh yeah, I've killed a lot of dogs. Spoiler, but we may also, maybe dip our content toes into the content waters of Vermintide 2. It is a Left 4 Dead like, by an up and coming IP dispensary called Games Workshop, and
Ooh, that's already a correction.
What is it? How is that a correction?
It's by a different studio. Game Workshop doesn't actually make anything.
No, but they still dispense the IP.
Oh, they dispensed it, but it's not by them.
Yeah, check the tapes, listeners. I don't think I ever said it was made by
tapes.
them.
I
think I said that they dispensed the IP. Famously, Games Workshop dispenses their IP to gamers around the world. One of which is Matthew Rawlings, and we may get to that if we have time. Also, I just want to start the podcast by addressing something. Tenet needs to just like simmer down. They need to pull a James Bond and just stop teasing the world. No one's going to go to a movie theater in August or whenever they've said they're going to release it now after delaying it like 6 times. Just drop it, delay it indefinitely, actually, and, stop stringing us along, because I'm not going to a movie theater to watch this movie that I'll probably really like. And, I'll watch it at home. I'll take one for the team. I'll take one for Christopher and Nolan, and I'm excited to see it, but just stop, Warner Brothers. Also, James Bond, keep up what you're doing. I like that I've not heard anything about it. The pain is a lot less in these trying times. So Matthew, would you like to start the podcast off by me talking at you?
Yes.
All right, so Japan Sinks 2020, very, very good anime. Netflix, as we all know, as weebs around the world know, has been dispensing IP left and right. Very good anime. Very good anime. And Japan Sinks 2020 is the newest one by, oh man, I forgot his name, but the creator, showrunner, director of Devilman Crybaby, the best anime of the Netflix put out of like 2018 or whenever that came out. It's his new thing. And it's about Japan sinking, the continent of Japan sinking. It's a disaster adventure about a family of 4, a young track star girl. If you've watched Devilman Crybaby, you know that this guy who makes these shows, I guess, really loves track in the same way that like David Foster Wallace just has this obsession with tennis because that was what he did when he was younger, I guess. David Foster Wallace, controversially important author of Infinite Jest. Cool book. But this anime, Japan Sinks 2020, is really good. It follows this family, the aforementioned family that I just aforementioned. So it starts out, and the mother of this family is getting back in a plane from a trip to, I think, the Philippines, and maybe it wasn't the Philippines. It might have been the Philippines, but she's getting back to Japan from a long trip. And while she's in the air, a massive earthquake destroys parts of Japan. And it's this huge, huge, huge earthquake. And she crash lands and eventually finds her way to her family in, I don't remember what part of Japan, but in a city in Japan. And, their whole town had been destroyed. One of the main characters is this track star girl. Her like her whole track team is like destroyed, killed by this earthquake. It's crazy. It's super intense. And the story starts there and just follows this family as they try to figure out how to survive best in a scenario where your continent, your country, is sinking into the ocean completely. And it's really cool. It has a lot of similarities to Devilman Crybaby, but is a lot less explicitly gory. That's one thing. I love gore in anything really. And in Devilman Crybaby, that has some of the most intense, just in your face gore I've ever seen in an animated anything, really in anything. And I love that. It was awesome. And Japan Sinks has some crazy violence in it, but it's not nearly as gory as Devilman Crybaby. So if that kind of thing isn't your thing, if extreme over the top like fantasy gore, it's not up your alley. Totally understandable. Japan Sinks might be more up your alley from this really great creator of anime, and I recommend you check it out wholeheartedly because it's crazy. It's crazy. It really, really reminded me. I haven't really seen much of the discourse on the web about this anime, but I imagine a lot of people, myself included, are comparing it to The Leftovers. If you've seen The Leftovers, it has this quality about it where it follows like a main set of characters, but along their journey, they meet all these really eccentric characters that have these arcs that they're kind of not self-contained, but they're so wildly different than the arcs of the main characters that it adds this level of like absurdism almost to the story. It's like kind of reminds me. It's like one of my favorite genres of a film, where in movies like Forrest Gump or like Big Fish or I'm trying to think of some other ones that fall into these tropes, but it's about these big, long, ridiculous journeys and about these people you meet along the way that are really important to the overall story in terms of like the main character's development and how they get from point A to point B, but they don't, like these characters don't really linger for a long time, and you just get these vignettes into wild and interesting lives of people. And I really like that in any film or TV show, and Japan Sinks nails it. It's all about that. It's entirely that kind of thing. And if you like The Leftovers, it's also really thoughtful. It's really dark and weird, but also really funny. And if you like disaster movies, I love disaster movies like Twister or Volcano. Volcano's not a great movie, but I used to watch it all the time when I was younger. And this series really reminded me of it. It's like 10 episodes on Netflix, and really easy to get through. And yeah, it's really cool. One thing I'll say about it though, and if you, like me, recognize Neon Genesis Evangelion to be the greatest anime series of all time, you will know that sometimes animated shows run out of budget to animate their shows. In Neon Genesis Evangelion, famously, they have basically slideshows of concept art or like sketches in the last couple of episodes because they just didn't have the money to animate anymore. And Japan Sinks 2020 is not nearly to that level, but the last few episodes have some pretty bad animation, I will say. But I think the story is good enough. I think the story and everything that's happening, all the themes and the flavor of it are good enough to justify a couple episodes of really bad animation at times. It's really cool. It's really, really cool. Visually, it looks great. It gets really weird, but not as weird as Devilman Crybaby, where you had all these like really swirling colors and a lot of abstract imagery. This is a lot more realistic. But it does have some crazy character design, does have some crazy weird happenstances that look amazing. Giant, huge scale stuff, like tectonic plates moving. You're going to see that in this. And it's just really good. It's really good. There's not I think recently the disaster genre has been centered around like post-apocalyptic adventures. And frankly, that's quite boring to me at this point. I know some of the things we're going to talk about in this podcast that are very good, like The Last of Us Part 2, are this post-apocalyptic kind of thing. But this is an active disaster show. Like the earthquakes are happening and society is crumbling in real time, and it's pretty cool the way that it does it, and I really liked it. Also, I will say there's a pretty cool Easter egg in, well, like one of the main characters of Japan Sinks 2020 is I don't know if he's meant, I mean, I assume he's meant to be, but he's pretty much exactly looking like one of the main characters of Devilman Crybaby. And when I saw it, I was like, what? Did they just rip this character from this like totally different, I assume these are in totally different universes. One is about devils and angels taking over the world, and in Devilman Crybaby, the other is about just like a very realistic take on a continent sinking, or a country sinking due to earthquakes and whatnot. But one of the main characters is just like the same from Devilman Crybaby, and I thought that was really cool that they did that. Like, he's a completely different guy, but looks wise, it's just like the same guy. And I thought that was really crazy of them. Really cool decision on their part. But
maybe they just used the same actor.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, but it's animated, so they're drawings.
What do you mean?
Are you familiar with drawings, Matthew?
Like sketches?
Yeah, like sketch, like the end of Neon Genesis Evangelion, like sketches.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Japan Sinks is really good, and I recommend it to anyone who's just looking for something to watch and likes big, intense disaster scenarios. It was. Do you have any thoughts, Matt? Do you have any thoughts?
It sounds cool. The biggest takeaway I have from that whole speech you just gave was there's actually a show called Devilman Crybaby.
Yeah.
At first you kept saying it. I thought you were like making fun of Devil May Cry, and I was like, wow, and after like the 5th time, I was like, wow, he's really sticking to this bit, huh? So I looked it up while you were talking, and that's just a really shitty name. I can't believe that.
What do you mean? That's an awesome name.
I wouldn't watch it based off the name. That's like, you're not supposed to. It just sounds so dumb. Like, I'd watch this. This sounds cool. This has a cool name, Japan Sinks. Like, that's kind of.
It's called Japan Sinks 2020.
Yeah, like, I don't know. That's cool. Devilman Crybaby. It's just like, I don't know. I don't think it's a great name.
Devils are cool. Crybabies are, aesthete. It's flavorful. It's a very flavorful name.
Yeah, but I don't know. Japan Sinks sounds neat. I might check it out. I've just been in a real like not wanting to watch TV phase right now. Like, I've been trying to get through Westworld, and I mean, that makes it sound like it's boring. The season 3 is pretty good so far, but it's been like a month of me watching it, and I think I've seen like 3 episodes. So it's just been kind of hard to like actually sit down and watch something. But this is definitely on my list. Like, if I'm looking for something on Netflix ever.
Yeah, it's quite good. It's quite good. I think you'd probably like it. I think it's hard to dislike unless you really dislike disaster stuff. But it's cool. I was really taken aback by it, especially because I don't know. I feel The Leftovers is just so good. And
that's the part that I really like the most, because The Leftovers is such an amazing show. Like, if it channels any of those vibes, dude, I'm in.
Well, yeah. I mean, think about it, right? Just purely in the scenario of these 2 shows. So Leftovers is about this huge global event and the repercussions of it, and so is Japan Sinks. And it's about this huge, like, the entire continent of Japan is just going into the ocean, and everyone needs to get off of this island nation. And the show's about that. And there's all this, like, I'm not going to say supernatural stuff, but there's very weird things that happen on the journey of the show, just like in The Leftovers, how you have this The Leftovers, I mean, goes into straight up supernatural stuff at many points, and this doesn't do that as much, I would say, but it certainly does to in a lot of ways. So it's cool. I really that I don't know if that's a genre, but that kind of thing is awesome, and I like it. And the fact that a big budget anime on Netflix has it from a creator that I really liked before, it's pretty cool.
Is it a big budget anime though? Didn't you say they ran out of money at the end?
I mean, I would also say Evangelion is a big budget anime. It's a very well produced. Like, clearly they had some great talent behind it, and the animation in the last 2 episodes isn't horrible. It's not like it's not animated. It almost seems like it's just animated by someone else. I imagine animated by someone else who was like cheaper. But it's like, it's like maybe 20% of the whole show is like this. And I did not find it unbearable. I found it kind of funny. But yeah, I mean, I would call this a big budget anime, but I don't know a whole lot about anime in general, to be frank. So maybe it's not. In terms of the anime, I feel like I've seen a lot of the anime that is just kind of like the standards. I feel like I've seen a lot of the standards of anime. And, like your Death Notes, your Evangelions, your, what's that one? Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, stuff like that. That's, quite popular. Attack on Titan, One Punch Man, that kind of thing. And out of those, I would say that its animation holds up. It's really stylistic and similar to Devilman Crybaby, which has this really crazy style. Really crazy style where there's these like, when characters walk, they're like their limbs kind of stretch a little bit more than is normal in the real world. And it lends it this really fast moving style. And I don't know, the colors are swirling around, the use of darkness and like the color black. Like the color black will just take up a lot of the screen, and you'll have these like little outbursts of color in Devilman Crybaby a lot of the time. And it's really cool. And Japan Sinks doesn't really do that as much, but it's still very stylistically just great. I don't know. I don't know how to, I don't know the words to describe it specifically, but it looks really cool. And does a good job of conveying all of the huge natural disasters that are happening all the time in a stylistic way. And I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, well, sounds neat. Do you think they're going to do
Japan Sinks 2020? Check it out. What
is it? Does it set up for another season, or is this like a one-off kind of?
No, I mean it 100% is a one-off. I don't see any way it could be.
There won't be a Japan Rises 2021.
No spoilers. No spoilers. That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say. But yeah, I haven't been watching a ton of stuff, on Netflix, but that is one of them. I watched also Unsolved Mysteries, and it's like,
have we not talked? Yeah, we watched that a while ago. Have we not talked about that yet?
Yeah, we should talk about it. Okay, we'll do a little bit of. I know we didn't. This wasn't part of the agenda, but we can go into it. Yeah, it's fine, but what's that? I'm trying to think of the word to describe this. It is, by definition, the fundamental core of Unsolved Mysteries is unsatisfying, because every episode is really interesting, and then at the end, they're like, and we have no idea what happened. It's like, come on! Like, I need a resolution to this. There's a lot of, you just dropped a lot on me to just have me keep carrying it. Yeah, I mean, it's really dumb, frankly. But some of these scenarios that they introduce are cool. But I find it so unsatisfying that there's no resolution, that it's just like, yep. And if you have any ideas, just shoot us an email. But we don't know what happened.
Yeah, there's some where it was like the one that was the most guilty of that was the husband that just disappeared. And were they in Boston?
And that guy was recently allegedly spotted in Chicago.
Holy shit!
I have not seen him personally, though. Yeah,
see, that's cool.
Just like last week.
Oh my god. Okay, yeah. Like, no, didn't they find him dead?
No, not in the show.
He fell through the roof. They found.
Which guy? I'm talking about the French guy who killed his family and then went off into the.
I didn't watch that episode.
You haven't watched the whole thing?
No, I didn't watch that one. I watched most of them. Actually, I watched all of them besides that one. I thought I was talking about the guy that fell off the hotel.
Oh, that's the coolest one. That's the craziest story.
Well, it's crazy. It's also the least satisfying, because that one they actually just have no clue. Like
that's what I'm saying, man. It's like, clearly there's some like crazy mafia stuff happening here, and they just they're like, yeah, we found this. This guy jumped off the top of a hotel, this fancy hotel. Well, he might have jumped off the top of this fancy hotel. Somehow he fell off of the top of this fancy hotel. He wrote a suicide note, but it's clearly written in code.
Yeah.
we don't know what it says, but it's crazy.
Yeah, that one's all over, dude. The one that I enjoyed the most, because you basically knew the verdict, or like what happened, was the one with the crazy like lady that would get married and then get divorced, and then she like killed her husband, and then
That one sucked, bro. Because that's what I'm saying. That like at the end of it, you're like, this woman is still just like chilling somewhere,
yeah.
and you're just told all this awful stuff that probably definitely happened, and then at the end of it, they're like, yeah, and that sucks.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I thought that one was pretty good. I thought it told a pretty good like story, you know, less of a case, and it was more of like, this lady's fucking crazy and awful. And I don't know. I enjoyed that one. I thought the UFO one was like the dumbest of all of them though.
What do you mean? That's the best one. It's the best one because it's like it follows this guy who seems really genuine.
And then
And he just wants to get it. It's just about this guy from like they live in like somewhere in like New England, and he's this real like loves the town that he lives in and just wants to get his story out there that him and his family were abducted by aliens. And he at the end of the episode is like, you know what, I'm a bit of an artist, and I made this kind of therapy. He shows this just really shitty painting of like a little kid getting like sucked up by a tractor beam from a UFO, and it's like, man, like I appreciate that you're getting your feelings out there, but like the Netflix audience is gonna roast you because that looks like a fucking paint by the numbers, the drinking paint things you go to. It's pretty bad, man. And it was. I love UFO stuff, and that was a fun episode for me. But yeah, that show pretty dumb.
Yeah, I mean that UFO one might have more credibility with all the UFO shit that's been going on right now.
Dude, it 100% happened. I 100% believe the UFO
really?
stuff.
I'm so
absolutely.
torn on stuff like that because it's like it was so long ago, and it's hard to. I don't know. Like I
see
wouldn't
no
say
reason to be
it couldn't have
skeptical.
happened, but I also like I don't know. I don't lose sleep over it. I guess.
Sure.
Yeah, that show is it's a fun background watch. See, that's why I didn't watch the French one because these were all background watches for me. I was kind of doing other stuff while I had them on, and the French one, at least the beginning was all subtitled, and I was like, well, I'm normally okay with this, but I'm not gonna keep my eyes on the screen the whole time, so I'm not, so I won't watch. But what happened in that one? The guy's out there. He killed his family or something.
Yeah, so basically it's about this like count or duke or something, this royal guy in France who goes like bankrupt gambling or something, and to like spare his family the shame of it or whatever, he kills his entire family and then just deuces out into like the forests of France somewhere. And the picture they paint is that this guy 100% did it. They know how he did it. They know when he did it. They saw him just like leaving the country calmly, and he just walks into a forest and then is never heard from again.
Crazy.
Yeah, he like methodically killed like 3 or 4 of his kids and his wife one night.
The fuck, man.
And just left.
Ugh.
Yeah. But, the producer was in some interview, showrunner, I don't know, someone who worked on the show, some bigwig over at Unsolved Mysteries HQ, said in an interview recently that they got one of the most credible calls they got that they forwarded to law enforcement was someone having just watched that episode and hearing a French guy on Lakeshore, the Lakeshore Path, which if you're familiar with Chicago is this really popular running and walking path right along the lake. Really beautiful walk. Take a look there. Have a jog there next time you're in Chicago. But someone heard a French accent while on the Lakeshore Path, looked over and just saw that guy, or said they saw that guy here in Chicago. So if you or a loved one have heard about this guy in Chicago, call the FBI or whatever they tell you to do. Don't call us. And I mean, that was probably the most interesting part of all of Unsolved Mysteries to me.
Yeah, I like whenever they do these real world, I guess, documentaries, I love to look up the meta shit that comes after. So that was fun. I wonder how many crazy calls they got about the UFOs.
Oh, I'm sure I think that in that same interview they mentioned how they just got like this insane amount of responses, and most of them are just bullshit.
Yeah. Oh my god. Oh, UFOs.
But Unsolved Mysteries, don't watch it. Or
background watch it.
You can do whatever you want. This is the official message of the Motion Pixels podcast. It's fine. Check it out if you want to. Whatever. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. All right.
Mhm.
So how about we transition to your? I'm gonna give you 5 minutes to talk about Last of Us 2. No spoilers, or maybe more.
What do you mean 5 minutes? What do you mean 5 minutes? You're boxing me in? I'm an artist, Matt.
It's a game
Can't be
about a
boxed in.
story, and I don't know how much you can talk about without ruining stuff. Like I'm
Right.
just trying to exist in a world where I can make it to November with no Last of Us 2 spoilers,
Why are you waiting until November?
because that's when I'll get a PS5,
Oh, sure.
hopefully.
Sure. Okay. Well, I'm going to talk about it without any spoilers. So Last of Us 2. Last of Us 2 is a very good game. It's a very good game. If you're somehow unfamiliar with it, which is okay, it is the sequel to a lot of people's favorite game of the past couple decades, which is a PlayStation 3 and 4 game. First a PlayStation 3, then they remastered it for PlayStation 4. Sony exclusive game, about a guy who brings a girl, a younger girl, across the country because they are in a post-apocalyptic. This is the first game. The Last of Us Part 1, I guess you could call it. They're in a post-apocalyptic world where there's like a fungus that takes over people's brains and turns them into, what otherwise would be referred to as zombies, but in the mythos of the Left 4 Dead and Last of Us. No, in the Last of Us-averse, in the mythos of it, are referred to as clickers because they are these scary mushroom people who run at you and click. And in the first game, it follows this guy, Joel, taking his, what's the word for it? He is tasked with bringing this girl across the country because she holds the key to the cure to this crazy fungal zombie virus. And along the way, they develop a father-daughter relationship, and it's a really beautiful story. And has a crazy ending. And The Last of Us 2 explores the ramifications of that really crazy ending to The Last of Us Part 1, which we will not be talking about because you should still go play it. And The Last of Us Part 2 has took, I don't know, this is a mucho optimized game. This is a polished to the T game. Not since probably Red Dead Redemption 2. Say what you will about that game's story, but its presentation is just impeccable. You're walking through a cowboy town and you feel like a cowboy. In Last of Us Part 2, you're walking through post-apocalyptic Seattle, and it is the luscious, most beautiful, version of Seattle you're going to see outside of the city limits of Seattle. It's really cool. It's all overgrown with moss and ivy, and the detail is just absurd. There's plenty of post-apocalyptic games out there, to the point where I am exhausted with them, frankly. But Last of Us Part 2 is the best looking, the most gorgeous, jaw-droppingly beautiful post-apocalyptic anything out there in video games. I won't say movies because there's probably other ones that are really good too in movies. But The Last of Us Part 2 explores the ramifications of The Last of Us Part 1 and is about Ellie. You play as this girl who was like a 12-year-old girl or something in The Last of Us Part 1. It takes place 5 years later, where I think Ellie's 19 in The Last of Us Part 2. I don't remember. I don't know if I'm getting the ages quite right, but she is a young woman now, and you play as her on this journey across America for a completely different purpose than the journey across America in the first game. And it's so good. It's so good. It's extremely linear, extremely story driven, where it feels like every place you're walking in this game is guided by the invisible narrator of the story. It's just it seems like every second, and this is the same. This is the case of the first one as well. It is just so immersive because it just feels like all of these organic things are happening constantly with the interaction between characters as you're walking around, as you're killing clickers and the other people you encounter. It all feels so natural, and the dial on the It Feels Natural meter is just spun up to 11 between Last of Us Part 1 and Last of Us Part 2, and it's awesome. You just are transported into this very scary world. And it's definitely a horror game, I'll say. Last of Us Part 2 is one of the scariest games I've played recently, and it is just horrifying. The way these clickers run after you, with how dynamic the world is, it just feels so. It feels like you're being chased by zombies when you're playing this game. Like I had to put the controller down a few times because my heart was just racing so fast. And the violence is so visceral, and it that's what I'm saying with like how things just seem scripted. Like the interactions where you're just smashing a zombie's face or a person's face just look so realistic, and their jaw just distorts and crunches as you're just gooping their whole bodies with your hammers and bats with scissors strapped to them and stuff. It's a lot, and it all looks so good. And I'm about 20 hours into the game. I think I'm about just getting into maybe a little past 20 hours. I'm just kind of getting into the third act. There's some major characters being introduced now, so I think there's quite a bit to go, but I'm definitely nearing the end. And it is a beautiful game. I pulled an all-nighter over this past weekend one night, just staying up the entire night playing for hours and hours, just like I used to do with games growing up. And I just couldn't stop playing. Like the story is so engrossing. You just want to see what happens next. The characters are so well defined. It's bolstered by how good the motion tracking is. I think I would say probably not since Death Stranding have I played a game that just the motion of faces and character models look so realistic that you're just really drawn in. I mean, if this were a TV show, or if this was a movie, it would be in all of these lists of what is going for the Best Picture Oscar this year, what is going for the whatever Golden Globe for Best Dramatic Series. Like it would stand with the best HBO series out there, like with The Leftovers, things of that caliber. It's just so good. Say what there's a lot of I'm not even going to address the controversy that people have with the story, because you can think whatever you want about it, but the presentation in this game, and I don't just mean visuals, the way that the visuals serve the story is just, I mean, to a T, perfect. I think it probably the most realistic, best looking story you could portray if you're going for a realistic story on current generation video game hardware. It's quite good. And I encourage you all to play it if you are able to. I imagine it'll get a PC release eventually, because a bunch of Sony exclusive games have been, but don't hold your breath on that. But man, it's good. It is just really good. I mean, I haven't even talked about the gameplay, but much like the first game, but even more so, it is a stealth game. You are a very nimble woman in this game, and you are sneaking through tall grass, and everything makes noise, and you're getting chased by dogs, and the dogs can smell you, and you're constantly hiding, going in and out of cover, sneak killing people. With your Ellie has a knife that doesn't break. If you remember from the first game, Joel has to craft shivs anytime he wants to sneak kill someone or get out of a clicker's embrace if they're trying to grapple him. And Ellie has a knife, so you can do a whole lot more sneak killing in this game than you could easily in Last of Us Part 1. And that lends itself to just making this game a top tier sneaking game. I pride myself in playing a lot of stealth games, and in an RPG, I always go for a stealth build. And the fluidity of the action, how realistic everything looks, lends itself to a really satisfying stealth game where you feel like you're actually being stealthy throughout this world. And it's just great. It's just great. I won't say too much more about it because I don't want to get into spoilers about the story or any specific characters in it. But The Last of Us Part 2 has really blown me away. And I typically don't. A lot of times with games, these big long story games, I'll play a big chunk of them and then put it down for a while, play the next big chunk, put it down. But this one, I'm blowing through it a lot faster than I typically do with big story games. And I think that says a lot.
Yeah, but I can't wait to play it. I don't know. I've been very excited for this game since I beat. When did the first one come out? Like 2013.
Oh,
Yeah.
a funny tidbit, Matt. My brother was telling me earlier today that Star Citizen has been in development so long that while it has been in development, The Last of Us Part 1 and 2 have come out.
Yep. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. It's still an alpha, by the way.
$300 million later. But yeah, Last of Us.
Most funded game of all time. Oh my god. Yeah, no, I'm really stoked. It sounds like it's basically just like the first one. I mean, and not in like a bad way, but I mean like hitting all those high bars, like doing all this really cool things. Yeah, Last of Us is great. I wonder if this is Sony's strategy, like, or I guess Naughty Dog's strategy, like do some Uncharted, do some other games with some filler while you're learning the tech, and then just top off the generation with The Last of Us. Move on.
I hope so. I hope so, because I would love if after Last of Us Part 2 we got some more of that really great filler like Uncharted is. That'd be a great thing to look forward to. And because this game just came out like a month ago, I think at this point. Because it comes out at the end of the PS4 generation, we have not heard anything about what the Naughty Dog's plans are for PS5. Correct me if I'm wrong. Go on our Discord, the Motion Pixels Discord, to our corrections channel. Tell me if I was wrong there. I would love to be wrong. So we won't, probably hear about a new Naughty Dog project for quite a while. But man, the stuff they're putting out at the end of the generation is like the fucking nightcap of a wonderful generation of exclusives for PlayStation 4.
They almost always they always do a great job. But more often than not, they do better than a great job. They're just doing a fucking amazing job. Like some of my favorite, like the Uncharted series got me to buy a PS3 initially. Like Uncharted 2 was so good, I bought a PS3 so I could play it on my own. And then Last of Us was amazing also. Everything they do is good. So I'm excited to see what else they do. I hope they do a new franchise though. I hope they don't do
I bet they will
anymore.
I bet they will.
Did you play? What was it? 4? Was it 4 or 5? How many Uncharteds are there now?
4. There are 4.
Okay. Did you play 4? I heard 4.
A little bit.
Was it good?
It's really cool. I mean, it's really the intro mission. I played. Honestly, a little bit past like the not the epilogue, the prologue of the game, which takes place in like a totally different area than I guess most of it. It's awesome. It's really cool. It reminds me of like Metal Gear Solid 5's intro, that is like that same kind of like compartmentalized, just like level you play through that really sets the tone for the whole story. It's a fucking adventure movie, dude. It's so cool. Uncharted 4's intro.
Yeah, like it's so hard to look back because like I was disappointed with 3, but it's an amazing game still. It's the weirdest thing because like 2 was such a masterpiece that like I played 3 and it was really good, and I was like, oh man, it wasn't as good as 2 though. But like 2 was like an 11 out of 10. So I wonder if 4, how it compares to 3. Because there's no way it's not. Like 1 was kind of mediocre, so I don't know. Probably better than that. But yeah, Naughty Dog, great devs. They made Crash Bandicoot first, right? That was their first IP.
Mm-hmm. Crash Bandicoot, and then before that they did. Didn't they also do Jak and Daxter?
Yeah. Okay.
Ratchet and Clank?
I was gonna say
no, not Ratchet and Clank. Jak and Daxter.
Yeah, it's Jak and Daxter. Yeah, dude, just masters of whatever they touch. Like
top tier. This is some primo shit, dude. Naughty Dog. That's what I'm telling you. Last of Us Part 2. I have played a lot of games, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not the most epic gamer out there, but I have a video game podcast. I think I know what I'm talking about. And Last of Us Part 2, in terms of production quality, is one of the greats.
Yeah. Man, how many more months? It's almost August. That's pretty far. That's pretty far. Rip.
But man, it's good. Wow. I really, really like this game. And it does not shy away from bold story choices, I will say, which I love. It is kind of reminds me of another great HBO series recently, Watchmen, where things happen in Watchmen, the series, that are just like so counterintuitive to what you think a big TV show would do, because it just kind of shortens the lifespan of the whole franchise. And famously, Watchmen, the HBO show, the showrunner Damon Lindelof, also the showrunner of Motion Pixels' favorite to the keen listeners, The Leftovers. But he came out and said he just didn't want to do a second season. He just capped it off. HBO really wanted a second season, was considering going with another showrunner, but he was just like, no, I told a story. If other people want to tell a story in the same universe, go ahead. I can't stop you. But The Watchmen season 1 is a self-contained thing, and because of that, it gave them the freedom to just do some fucking crazy stuff that in the Watchmen averse is just so big and impactful, and there's no coming back from, and that leads to a really interesting story. And The Last of Us Part 2 is no different.
God, I'm excited. I'm trying to not be excited. This sucks.
No, you should. You should totally be excited. This is the kind of game, in my humble opinion, I don't think you can get overhyped for, because it's like just firing in all cylinders. And this is a game that does its duty to cap off a generation.
I'm just saying, I like to bury the excitement until it's like right on my doorstep, right? Like I'm not like, I honestly, because I haven't been able to go on vacation this year because of the world events, I might take a week off just for the PS5 launch, just to go through all this stuff. Like I got this vacation time I got to use. Like,
dude, we should do that together. Dude,
I'd be 100% down. Dude, virtual Honestly. Vacation, dude.
Yeah, let's do a virtual vacation together. We can play a bunch of PS5 games together. Oh my god,
that's actually a great idea. That'd be so cool.
Yeah. All right. This is some pod lore. Keep us accountable. This has got to happen.
It's gonna be great. What's gonna suck is if one of us is able to get a PS5 and the other can't.
I have a feeling we'll find a way.
We'll find a way.
Like, who said this? Famously, I think I think archaeologist
it was in the Bugsnax trailer.
Said that. It was in the Bugsnax trailer. Speaking of Bugsnax, the full version of the Bugsnax theme song came out, and it's really good. Kiro Kiro Bonito. I had not heard much of. I've heard of them, and like they seem very tangential to a lot of bands that I'm into, but I'd never really given them a shot until this Bugsnax full-length song came out. And I went through the discography. They're great, man. Kiro Kiro Bonito is a really cool band, and the fact they did the theme song, a very catchy theme song at that, is pretty cool.
Oh, Bugsnax.
Bugsnax. Talk about Bugsnax. Yeah, it's cool. I like it a lot, and I can't wait. Also, okay, here's a side note. Here's a tangential divergence to the narrative of this podcast. I think it's so funny, Matt. I think it's so funny that, the fucking big wigs of the industry, the titans, have fallen. Not fallen as in like in a bad way, but they have dropped down to earth to grace us with their presence of the next generation of gaming. And the thing people are most excited about is fucking Bugsnax.
Oh, I mean, I'm not actually really excited about it. I know you are, so I was playing along. I'm not interested in that game whatsoever.
Oh, I'm so interested, man. I'm really excited.
Yeah, I know. That's cool. It just doesn't hit anything for me. I'm excited to play. I wouldn't be excited for the PS5 launch if it wasn't for the fact that I get to play all these PS4 games. That's really it. That's what I'm actually excited for. I'm gonna play so many old things. It's gonna be weird.
What are you gonna play? Give me a just to focus this. Give me the like 3 games. Let's say you're gonna play 3 games in that week. Like, what are those 3 games?
Oh man, I'm gonna weird first pick. First game I'm gonna play is Until Dawn. Is that what it's called?
That's a great decision, Matthew.
Yeah, I've been wanting to play that game. I own it. I own that game.
Dude, it's so good.
I don't.
If you like, Matt, that game is just like going to the movies to watch like a bad thriller movie or bad like horror movie with your friends.
Yeah, no,
it's just that feeling.
It looks like such a cool idea. Like it's just, I love Evil Dead and Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah. Oh, it's just that.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
exactly.
just that, but choose your own adventure.
I've been wanting to play. I bought that game because I was like, I'm gonna get a PS4 at one point. I might as well just pick this up. And I've just been carrying it around for years now, just waiting for the moment. So I'm gonna play that first. I'll probably play Spider-Man second because that game looks really nice. Looks really neat. I like Spider-Man games. Spider-Man 2 on GameCube, PS2. I don't know if it was on Xbox, but that was a pretty good game. It's probably just way better than that game was.
Oh yeah.
Hold on, I want to talk about Spider-Man 2 for a sec. So, do you remember the plot of the original Spider-Man 2 with like Doc Ock?
Yeah, and he's trying to get like harness the power of the sun, but he flies too close to it.
No, like the subplot where Peter Parker is losing his powers throughout the movie.
Oh.
Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, it's like an erectile dysfunction allegory, I think.
Yeah. So that's happening the whole movie, right? So he's kind of like his spidey senses are going in and out. And when I played that game, I thought that tied into the gameplay because like I'd be swinging around and then all of a sudden it would just stop working and I would like have to like scramble real quick to like shoot a web or do something, and I was like, wow, this game's so cool, like they're tying that in. And then I died once from it and I was like, this is bullshit. I don't agree with this. And then it just turns out my controller was breaking. And that's all I wanted to share. I thought that was
Matt,
ties in well.
I'm glad you shared that story because it proves that we were both fucking morons when we were kids. Because I remember I was very excited to see the first Harry Potter movie when it came to theaters, and I remember having read the book, and right before being all excited. And then going to the movies, talking with my friends, like, I don't know how they're going to handle like going from one chapter to the other in the movie, but I have a feeling they're going to knock it out of the park. Like I like in my head, it just like made sense that there was going to be like title cards between all the chapters in the book.
What?
Like they're going to turn the page. Yeah.
I bet they knock it out of the park. Oh, that's great. Oh man. Let's see. What's third? Third's a hard choice. It's between God of War and Uncharted 4. That is. I don't know.
Those are very good picks. God of War is extremely good.
I know. I might play God of War. God, I just feel so bad that Uncharted isn't like up there for me anymore. I don't know. We'll see. There's probably some other good games too. Like, what's kind of crazy is I think the PS4, people look at it right now and think, wow, like Sony just has all these amazing first party titles and just nobody else can really compete. Well, I guess, Nintendo's up there, but they're like Sony's definitely Nintendo's in a league of their own. Sony is also. But if you really think about it, it's only been like in the past 3 years that all those games have come out. Like
no, like 6 years.
Is it
6 years?
Yeah,
because the big one I think of that started out for me thinking of PlayStation 4 is this destination for amazing games you could only play on the PS4 is Bloodborne, and I'm pretty sure that game came out in 2014.
I guess that's true. I don't know. I wasn't too interested in that one. A lot of people
Really?
I don't know why. It just never hit me. Yeah, I guess you're right. I think they had a good. I feel like recently they've had like multiple a year though, which has been.
Well, dude, this year, think of what fucking Sony's put out just in.
That's what I'm saying.
2020, dude, it's crazy. Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah,
I've been watching a gameplay of that, and it's awesome. Last of Us Part 2. Say what you will, if you like the story, if you don't, that's a achievement of a game. And right before that, Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I watched a full playthrough of that. It's just not my cup of tea personally, but I mean that game looked great and was certainly like in the vein of like Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy games. I don't really play Final Fantasy games, just have a history in Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, but
it's
7
like
Remake
that
looks
kind
amazing, dude.
Yeah, compared to any of those games I've played, 7 Remake is amazing. That's just this year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I feel like recently, like the past couple years, it's just been rapid fire. Like, because I know that the platform started off really weak. If you look back, like the first couple titles were kind of awful. Like, do you remember The Order when that came out?
Yes, I remember The Order, but The Order is really cool. It's just really short.
Yeah, it was lacking, I guess, is what.
Yeah, lacking.
And then Knack 2, game of the decade. But that decade is past, so. But yeah, I don't think things started really ramping up until like Bloodborne. Like maybe that was the turning point, because.
Yeah.
But yeah, that like it's crazy how just a good couple years makes everybody totally set on that. So Sony's always had better exclusives than Microsoft, but it's like.
I have kind of a problem with that. Not because I want to defend Microsoft's honor or anything, but because I think a lot of people forget that for a minute, Xbox 360 just had Mass Effect, BioShock. What are some other ones? I feel like there's some other franchises that I'm forgetting. I guess they kind of had like Call of Duty to a degree. I think there was a minute where Xbox 360 had better exclusives than the PlayStation 3.
Yeah, but they weren't like.
Dude, Mass Effect and BioShock.
We've talked about this before. That was like. I feel like that was a. What's the right word? I don't know if those were planned as Microsoft exclusives
What do
from
you
the
mean?
get-go.
Microsoft literally paid these companies
Yeah,
to
but
be like,
they're
hey,
I don't know.
guys, this is an exclusive to Microsoft. A textbook example of an exclusive to a platform.
I know, but like what I'm trying to say is it's like we're not gonna see Last of Us or God of War or any of that stuff on Xbox at any point. Maybe next generation since Microsoft's doing it really fucking weird, but that's not something you're gonna see. Whereas like paid exclusives are like different. Like yeah, you can shell out, but they didn't buy the studio, so it's not like we only played BioShock
Sure.
1, 2, and Infinite, you know? And so like you can like pay to have the better stuff for a bit, but like Sony's just for first party, I guess is the better word to use. First party exclusives has just like always not completely better since Microsoft for a moment when Halo and Gears were really good had that, but they've always had like a wide portfolio, you know, like I don't know. So Sony's just seemed to have always had it and has really invested in it more, especially like cinematic story games in a way. Like I feel like they've really gone in on that. Like older games, I feel like are like Sony's first parties are just like if you have to use two things to describe them is cinematic, third person. You know, like I feel like most of them really fall into that.
Actually, I would say 2 words I would use to describe them all. Really good.
Yeah. Well, then there's some stinkers. Like what was that that motorcycle game?
Gran Turismo?
No,
the
motorcycle. That was a really poor word to choose to describe it. The zombie game. Where you're
Days Gone, dude. I heard Days Gone is really good.
Yeah, but it wasn't like it. Everybody was really hyped, you know, like it was going to be another amazing knock out of the park Sony hit, and I heard it was more just like average. Like it was really buggy when it came out, at least. You know, it didn't like have the reception that Horizon or something had. I feel like it was hyped to be that, and it wasn't. Which just means they have such a high bar that even if you have a good game, it's bad because it's not as good as your masterpieces you've been, you know, just laying on the table 3 times a year.
That's a visceral way to put it, Matthew. But yeah, I totally agree. And you know, that's why there's obviously a lot of excitement around Microsoft and how they're as of late picking up all these big studios.
I don't know.
Matt, say what you will about the Xbox event. I'm not saying it blew my socks off, but all I'm saying is Microsoft is investing.
Yeah, they're maybe in like 5 years they'll have a good lineup, but it's like you go into that event and it's what was shown like the hypest game. Halo Infinite's interesting. Like a lot of people are shitting on the graphics. I really don't care about that. I feel like
I think it looks great.
I think that platform aspect they're going for is really weird, and I would like to see how they're gonna do that. But like the hypest thing is Oblivion, since they're already putting results out. Like Avowed looks neat. Avowed is like what like when what was it called? It's not the Outer Worlds. Outer Worlds? Is that the game? Yeah, like when that came out, everybody's like, yeah, sick. Oblivion's like coming for Bethesda because they can't make a fucking game with a decent engine. You know, they haven't had anything good in like 10 years. And it's like Avowed, like, cool. We have Elder Scrolls 6. We have good Elder Scrolls 6 now. Like, so I'm excited for that. But everything else, it's like, oh, cool. We got a Nebulous Fable teaser. Sweet. We've had.
I think you got to give that one some slack because I think what the point of that presentation was to get people excited for the Xbox Series X and the, you know, incoming nebulous, you know, good word for this too, nebulous generation of Xbox.
Yeah.
Where, you know, it'll work on everything, but I think they wanted to get you invested in it for the long haul, and that was clearly showing that Fable is a long way off. But get excited because it's coming to the Xbox ecosystem.
Yeah, and I get that, and like, I mean, I'm not saying they can never turn it around. I'm sure Microsoft can turn it around in like 5 years or something, maybe even sooner, maybe in like 3. Maybe they'll start getting stuff out there real quick, and they just don't want to overhype it. But I just can't believe that like the 360 generation is good because they actually had a good amount of original. Yeah, I guess a good amount is the right word. Not a huge amount, but they released a lot of good things in the 360 generation. And then we've been coasting off that ever since. You know, it's like, oh, cool. Xbox One, they showed us Halo and Gears and kind of teased a Fable game before they killed it. And now we're going to the next generation and we're getting teased with Halo, Fable, like I don't know, like just make something new. Like I don't know. It's just sad. I'm
Dude, there
honestly,
is new things. There is new
but they
things.
suck. Like what? Like State of Decay. Like that's your lineup title. Like State of Decay is when the first one came out, it was a meme game. Like it was fun, but it was buggy as shit, and it was an Xbox Live Arcade game. And like somehow, because they have nothing, it's like, yeah, this is our trump card. And that's also another game that they had a trailer for because it's in pre-production. It's like I don't know. It's like, what have you been doing the past 3 years? like everyone's been saying this forever. And it's just so weird to like they're going in just with nothing. It's strange.
I don't think they're going in with nothing. There's a lot of cool stuff. I don't know what the launch
They're
titles
going
are.
in with not a good pipeline.
I think there's I disagree. I think the Medium looked really cool. That Everwild.
They have the
game
weakest
from
pipeline
Rare.
of any of the consoles.
How so? What do you think looks better? Like, why would you think the PlayStation 5 has a weaker pipeline?
No, PlayStation
Or,
5 has a
stronger.
better.
Yeah, why would you think it's a
Because
stronger
I
pipeline?
actually saw games with just the cinematic trailers that I was excited for, and because I believe they're gonna come, and I have a feeling they're gonna be great. And there's just a lot of other stuff in Sony's backlogs that, like, I can I look back at games from that presentation, and I'm still excited about them. And this Microsoft one, I'm like curious about Halo. Like that's it. And that's your representation for the next gen. Like imagine if the Switch launched and they're like, yeah, we have Breath of the Wild, and there's.
I mean, that's kind of how it was. There was
But
Breath
there
of the
was
Wild
like
and Mario
the
Kart.
promise of like, hey, we're getting the new Mario out there, like we're getting all these other first parties, and they've been slow. Like they do like maybe like 1 or 2 a year, but it's like enough. But I don't even think, like, I'm excited for Microsoft this generation because I just get their shit. I don't have to buy their garbage console. Like, the console's probably pretty good, but I don't have to buy into that ecosystem because I'm already there, because they're just bringing it to my gaming platform of choice, Like, I can just buy all their games on PC. So even if they only do one good thing all generation, it's awesome because I get to play it. But, like, if Nintendo or Sony was trying to do that, it would be a completely different story because I have to buy into their hardware. And that's like a more enticing promise because I believe they're going to do that. And Microsoft is like, we're making moves. It's like, okay, but let me see something. I know you're buying all these studios, but you're trying to sell me Fable still. since I was a kid, I've been sold Fable. How about we how about we get something else?
I think I am okay being sold Fable because the studio seems really good.
But what if Sony was still selling you Jak and Daxter? Like what if we're all
that's a good point.
What if we're all playing Spyro and Crash Bandicoot still? Like I like the innovation. Like Sony and I guess Nintendo kind of does that in a way. But I'm playing new Nintendo games I didn't play back in the day. I played Fire Emblem this year for the first time. That's hype, That's really cool. Yeah, I don't know. Microsoft, like, I want to believe they're gonna do well, but I gotta see it. I'm gonna not believe it until I see it. That's my rant.
No, I think you bring up a lot of very fair points, and it's like I said, the Xbox event certainly didn't knock my socks off, but I thought enough stuff looked good, and I have enough hope for the big hitters like Halo Infinite that I'm excited, and I think it's going to be at least good. I don't think it's going to be bad.
Yeah, I think in a strange way, I think Halo Infinite is going to really, really hurt Destiny. Because I think everything that Destiny has a weird little platform they got, right? And this is good because we want to talk about this anyways. So like Destiny 2 is like, Bungie, they made Halo. It has a very Halo gunplay feel. There's a couple of modernizations that they've done to the formula, like you can sprint and there's more weapons, and on top of all of that, they added it's like a MMO light. It's like if you mix like baby's first Warcraft and baby's first Diablo into one, and with Halo, and that's kind of the game. And I think a lot of people that play Destiny, like there's people that obviously like to grind loot and really engage in those hard RPG aspects for how little there are in that game. Like they try to do what they can with it. But I think a lot of people just don't care and play it because it's kind of fun and you get a cool gun and it's stronger and you use it. But like if you're just playing the game for the gunplay, I think that's just what Halo Infinite's going to be. I think it's going to be Destiny without stats. And I think that's actually like a really good idea for a lot of reasons. So if they nail it, I think it has a shot at stealing some Destiny 2 players, but we'll see. 343 hasn't exactly had the greatest track record with their original IPs. So
yeah, they definitely have not had much luck with the Halo series so far.
Yeah.
At best, I thought Halo 4 was good. And what I saw from Halo Infinite, I think looks a lot better than that. It seems like it's just Halo Combat Evolved plus Skyrim, or, maybe plus Breath of the Wild. And I think that's really cool. Even if they're just mashing some genres together in the name of innovation, I think the bones of Halo are good enough where it can be pretty awesome with that. And if they have managed to develop some secret sauce to kind of get back the magic of the Halo 1 through Reach, I think that would be pretty amazing and would prove that the world has not just outgrown Halo, which is possible, totally possible, that maybe games have learned enough from the Halo franchise where now we just don't really need Halo anymore because there's other games out there doing it, doing it better, and that's okay. But I think it's very possible that Halo Infinite might deserve kind of a mainstay spot in the next generation. I hope so, at least.
Yeah, we'll see. I hope they do a demo. That'd be neat.
You know what? I was a little surprised they didn't release one because at the Xbox event, the Halo demo starts out with them on a splash screen that says like press start to start demo.
Yeah, right.
And it's like, okay, guess I will, or guess I won't if you're not going to release it.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I think they got to do something. Like I bet they really try to make the multiplayer reveal. Is that what they're doing next month? Like they split up their presentation into 2 different ones, right? Like we're getting another one next.
This was just campaign.
No, I mean just their Microsoft as a whole is doing a whole second like game showcase at some point.
Oh, really? I thought it was just Halo. I thought they were just doing a Halo.
Oh yeah, I know. Well, they said they're showing Halo again, but I think I was listening to pod of choice of our pod, Easy Allies, on my post-work walk today.
Friends of the show.
Friends of the show, even if they don't know it.
What do you mean?
Anyways, they were saying they were going to do a second one because it was their episode where they were recapping it. So they were mentioning there's a second Microsoft presentation. So hype. Hopefully maybe I'll eat my words. Maybe that's when we get the amazing loadout or lineup, whatever they got planned. But the world.
Yeah, I hope so.
The world waits.
Yeah, with bated breath. Chief, we need you. Yeah, I'm. It'll be good. It'll be good. Yeah, but speaking of things that are good, Destiny 2 is still good. It's been out for 4 years. I bought it at launch, played it a bunch, got to max level when it came out, and then stopped until now. Matt and I picked it up in the past week or so, and it's been very fun to just hop on after work for a couple of hours and do some grinding, just some shooting galleries with some of the best current gunplay in the biz. And we've been having a stellar time.
Yeah, it's pretty great. I'm surprised that Destiny's still so big. I can't believe it. It's like one of the top played games on Steam. Isn't that crazy?
It doesn't surprise me because
Surprises
I think
me.
in the history of video games, Bungie is one of the best developers in the entire history of video games.
Yeah, it's wild that, I don't know. There's I feel like a lot of people that don't play Destiny think it's bad because everybody just complains about Destiny all the time. And yet there's literally just probably hundreds of thousands of people playing it daily still.
So Matt, we've been talking a lot this week about official statements of the Motion Pixels podcast, and I think we can both agree that our official statement to the Destiny 2 community This is the Motion Pixel endorsed position for the Destiny 2 position for the Destiny 2 community. It is as follows: shut up.
Yeah. No more Bungie, please.
There are so many just disgustingly entitled posts out there in the Destiny 2 community, and I'm just asking, please shut up.
Well, it's mostly it's like kind of what I was saying with Halo Infinite. They're trying to toe this line of casual grind fest, and those things don't go super well together for the let's say the what are the outer reaches of the bell curve, because the people that really like grinding don't like that.
The ding dong edges of the bell curve, if you will.
Yeah, the ding dong edges. Yeah, it's like the people that just want to grind, there's not enough, or there is too much stuff like caps it or something like that. And then for the people that don't want to grind and just want to shoot, there's still some of that for some things in the game. And I think people just don't like that, and the game appeals to both, but it's good, so people stay. It's just bizarre. I find myself squarely in the middle. Like, there's a lot of content I choose to not do in Destiny 2 because it sounds boring, but there's so much stuff to do that is just really good, that I can just play it all the time. Like, we basically have just done the same activity loop for the past week, and it's been great, and I want to do it more. Just do some strikes, do some PvP, maybe do a little quest, get a gun, level up our gear. It's great. Pretty soon, Sean, friend of the show, expressed interest in potentially getting back into Destiny 2.
Wow.
So we might have a group, since our friend Mr. Hiding also has gotten back in. We might be able to do some raids with the boys. Be hype. That'd be great. The raids are like one of the better parts of the game, and it's really sad that like nobody that I know that plays this game has experienced them yet, because there's like no matchmaking, so you actually have to have a group, and it's kind of hard to get 6 people together for a game, so hopefully we're able to do that.
I have never played a raid, so that would be...
Dude, the raids are so good. I was refreshing my mind on how to do the Leviathan raid in case we try to do it sometime soon.
Yeah, the Leviathan, that's the first one they dropped. That's on the big gold ship.
Yeah, I believe it's the first raid that they ever did, and it's really good. The raids are just so different than anything else you get in that game. A lot of the other gameplay elements kind of borrow from each other and kind of will have similar loops, or they'll like reuse kind of the same thing in places. But for the raids, dude, they go all out. Like, their raid team, from the few I played, seem to be top tier. They're just so unique. There's not a whole lot of gunplay in them, which is why I think I like them so much. It's not just like kill endless waves of enemies that are really hard. It's like do these really convoluted steps that you have to interpret. Like, it's like a puzzle, and it'll make you it tests you in certain ways. And they're hard to execute because they tend to be like these multi-layered things that everybody has to do their part. And if one person messes up, the whole thing screws up. But when you do it, you're like a well-oiled machine, and it feels amazing. And Leviathan's so good. Oh, I can't wait till you can try that. And the new dungeon looks neat. We don't need a full group for that, so we can probably hop into that probably like a week when you get level cap.
Yeah, I should definitely be there within the next week.
Yeah.
I'm pretty close now.
What are you liking I've been playing Destiny pretty frequently for the like on and off, like not nonstop for a year and a half now, but I've been playing a lot the past year and a half. And you played at launch, but I don't think you've played really since then. So like, what brought you back?
No, not at all. What brought me back? Well, I was thinking I wanted a new live game to get back into or get into. And I was thinking about what's out there. I even considered World of Warcraft, but then I remembered, like, I really liked Destiny 2 when it came out, and it sounded more appealing than the Division 2, which I liked when it came out, but I just think Destiny is a whole lot more fun, just in the spaceman jumping around aspects of it. So yeah, that's what made me want to get back into it. I just recognize the greatness that is Bungie as a game developer and wanted to kind of check in on what they were up to.
Nice. Well, you liking it? Does it feel different? Does it feel the same?
I mean, it feels the same, I would say. Probably better. But the core's there. I mean, I was never one to get too bummed out about Destiny 2 when it launched. I know people had a lot of problems with the loops of it, but I just thought it was an awesome game to literally play. It felt great, and I thought the story was kind of dumb, which is a bummer to me. But clearly, the main selling point of the Destiny franchise has been maybe the mythos of it and like the setting of it, and just the core gameplay, and that was doing strikes and jumping around, clearing out bad guys and doing public events and stuff. And it just seems like there's more to do that I have not played, because it wasn't around at launch. And it's been really cool to discover the new stuff that they've added. I think they've added a few new planets that I haven't seen. I think so. And I think the moon wasn't around maybe when Destiny 2 first came out. And
yeah, that came out last year with the Shadowkeep expansion.
Yeah, and I just got the expansion too. I will say I was playing the completely free version for the past week, and there's so much you can do. I did not need to get the expansions. I just kind of anger bought them because I found out that even though Microsoft at the Microsoft event announced that Destiny 2 and all of its expansions was coming to Game Pass, I was assuming that they meant the PC as well, but they did not. So I went and bought Steam keys for the expansions and activated them, and now I have all of Destiny 2. So yeah, I'm excited to get more into it because it's been nothing but good vibes so far.
Yeah, I'm glad people are slowly trickling back into it. I've been wanting to get back into it for a bit, but no one I had played with before was in, and it's not super great on your own. Like, you definitely need a buddy.
Yeah, I agree. Though I find it's like a lunch break game. I think with like a half hour, you can actually have a decent time by yourself. But for like you wouldn't. At least this isn't the kind of game I would want to just like grind all night by myself. You know? Having like a 4-hour long stint with this game is a lot more fun if you have someone to bullshit with during it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know if I could ever play this on my lunch break.
Why not?
I don't know. You could. You could
do
totally do it. It just feels like
do
such
like a quest or
commitment.
strike or something.
That would take up my whole lunch. I don't know.
Yeah, just chug a Soylent and do a strike, bro.
Oh man. No, I like to cook. Gotta get my breakfast. Gotta get my eggs. Gotta get that nutrition for the rest of the day. That way I can just play when I get off of work.
Boring. But yeah, Destiny 2. Destiny 2. Very good game. And I think it's really cool that they made it free. You get, like, with the free version, it's not like some stripped down version, like the free version of World of Warcraft, where like stripped down in the sense like you only get to level 20 or whatever. You can still get up to the max power level, as far as I understand it. You just don't get a lot of the expansions. You get like the first 2 or 3 expansions that came out for Destiny 2, and then not the most recent 2. And I don't know how they're going to do it in the future, but I imagine they're going to keep that same like cadence of you just get you have to buy the latest 2 expansions and you get the other ones for free.
Yeah, it's like you get like 70% of the game, maybe. I mean, right now it's a little more, but I think that's how it's going to be going forward. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, but the nature of the game is like so quote unquote infinite that you can keep playing that 70% and have a perfectly satisfying game loop.
Yeah, like
and you get to max level and everything. Like you're not missing the experience, the core experience. You're just missing added on stuff.
Yeah,
that,
the
downside give you more stuff to do.
The downside is a lot of the stuff they've added in the past 2 years is like some of the best content. So like dude, if we do some strikes later and we get any of the Shadowkeep or Forsaken ones, they're so good. They're so much better than the base game ones. Like if you're playing Destiny 2 for free, it is totally worth it to get the expansions. They added so much good stuff to the game. Just like content wise, like you were saying, like you can get all the guns and power level, and I even think like the newest dungeon is free. Like even some of the raids are free, but all the other stuff that isn't is price gated because it's really good. So if you enjoy the game, it's worth getting the DLC.
Yeah, and right now I think you can get the DLC for Destiny. I just bought it today. If you want to buy full price, just from in Destiny 2, you can just click a couple buttons and then they're yours. I think they're already downloaded and everything. I think it's $35 for the newest one, which is called Shadowkeep, which takes place on the moon. And or and other places probably. And Forsaken, which is a big story, kind of a big story arc. That one's $25. So for $60, you can get the latest 2 expansions. I found them a little cheaper from some Steam Key websites, if that's your thing. And you can save like $10-20 that way. And it's a Bungie game. You're buying new Bungie games. What's not to like about that? I feel like the awe factor of Bungie putting out new games is a little deafened by the way that they're releasing these expansions, where I think generally people don't get as excited about expansions as they do about full new games. But Destiny brings the quality that you would expect in a Bungie game, and it's pretty cool. Like I said, it's been awesome just discovering the new stuff that I missed, and it all just feels so good to play.
Yeah. Like we already said it. Well, no, we didn't quite say it. But if we're gonna be doing official takes all episode, official motion pixel take on Destiny 2, pretty good. Pretty good.
Pretty good.
All right, gamer, you wanna wrap this up?
I'm glad you asked. No, I don't, because I want to hear about Vermintide 2.
Oh, do ya?
I do. This is a game I have never played. Here, how about this? I will introduce Vermintide 2, and it's probably going to be riddled with stuff that's wrong because I've never played it. Vermintide 2 is a game by some studio that is affiliated with Games Workshop, the makers, as you may know, as keen pay your attentions to of pop culture may know, famously created Warhammer. Vermintide 2 is set in, coincidentally, the Warhammer universe, and based on Matt's descriptions of it, you kill rats with melee weapons, and that's all I know about Vermintide 2.
Yeah.
Oh, also, it's like Left 4 Dead.
It's Left 4 Dead. If people had stuck with that, Left 4 Dead came out, over 10 years ago or something.
Mm-hmm.
And no one's, people have done games like that, but it hasn't been a genre. For as big as Left 4 Dead was, I feel like nobody really took it up to continue to evolve that franchise in like the very Left 4 Dead way. Like there's obviously been like PvE kill stuff games. But Vermintide 2 feels very, very much like Left 4 Dead, down to like respawn mechanics and items. And like there's even like things like in Left 4 Dead, you get like temporary HP from pain pills and whatnot. That's like
pills here.
Yeah, there's systems like that. Like, oh yeah, so that's a good point too. Like the voice line, the voice lines in this game are great. And like everything that this game is basically, these developers who made it kind of sat down, looked at what was good about Left 4 Dead, and built more evolved systems on top of it, set in the Warhammer universe. And it's primarily melee. There is some range because some people have bows or like musket style guns, but it's mostly melee based. And like the systems that they've evolved is your character matters. So like in Left 4 Dead, you just pick somebody and there's no impact. It's just who you look like. In this game, there's I think there's 6 or 7 different characters, and they will have levels, and you get to choose different skill trees for them as you go through it. But on top of that, there's 3 different classes for each character too. So you can spec out different ways to play. Like I've been playing as this dwarf guy. I think his name is like Baron or something. And he has one where it's like his traditional build. He just has he can use a shield and like a mace, or you can have I think you can have a gun. And there's another one where I think he's more focused around being ranged. I don't know. I haven't really played his other 2 because the one I'm playing is the best. It's a Slayer class where he just gets he's only melee based, but like his kit, or like I guess when you skill him up, it's basically he has a special where he'll just launch himself, and he goes into a flurry where he can just attack really fast. And so there's what I'm trying to say is there's a bunch of ways that you can build characters and you can spec them out. So it has a really strong RPG aspect. And then that also goes over to your gear. So you'll constantly be trying to get better gear as you progress through the game. And it gives more of a sense of purpose, I guess, to doing missions. Whereas Left 4 Dead, you do it because it's fun. That's what games are for. They're fun. You play with your friends. It's a good time. In this game, you play them and you get better stuff. And you're constantly leveling up. You're getting better gear. You can do harder things. You can play in a bunch of different ways. There's the equipment system is kind of like Destiny 2, where, there's like, we kind of told you this last night when we were playing, where it takes longer to level up your first character, but once you get to the second and third, it's way quicker because you can share stuff and you can just boost your level real quick. That's kind of how this game works. Is you have your first character will take the longest to level up, but if you ever want to switch over, you can start rolling weapons at that power level you're at, so you can be strong already, and you don't have to like go through a whole different grind tree for 6 or 7 other characters. Like, you're already there. You can just swap over and do cool things already. So that, and then there's so many maps. Like, I think this game's been out for like 2 or 3 years, and I think there's like 30 something campaigns. Like a campaign being like a level from Left 4 Dead.
Like a movie from Left 4 Dead. Those like
whatever they called them. I think they called them campaigns, but it's basically levels. There's like 30 different levels throughout like the DLCs they've released and whatnot. They're all really good. They're all really fun. The zombie mechanic is pretty. I think there's like the director, like, they kind of marketed Left 4 Dead with that director aspect where there's a AI that's kind of like dropping items randomly and sending different specials out depending on what's going on. That's kind of in this game too. So missions never play the same. There's typically like a boss encounter each level will have, and the boss is randomized from a selection of them, and it can come at any point. So there's like a bunch of different areas where a boss can show up, but you never know when to expect it. So
that's awesome.
So it keeps it fresh. So like every time you play it, it's not a new experience. Like, you'll know where the level is and how it's set up, but it will play differently every time, which is the most important part, because that's the whole game, is doing these PvE campaigns. And even with 30, after you do 30, it could get old, but it doesn't. You can play the same one 5 times in a row and it'll go way differently. And the last thing that makes it really neat is there's like this optional difficulty you can choose to engage with in the level. There's this system called, I think the items are called grimoires. When you pick them up, you lose 25% of your health. Your entire team will.
Whoa.
And they're optional.
Like lose 25% of your max HP,
Yep.
Or lose 25% of whatever you have left?
Max HP. So you just can only have up to 75. And there's 2 of those, so you can go down to 50. And on the harder difficulties, getting hit can already take like a third or a fourth of your health. And so you can basically get 1 or 2 shot at the point. So,
that reminds me a lot of, one of my goats, Binding of Isaac. There's like a mechanic almost exactly like that, where you can like basically like make deals with the devil to permanently remove part of your health, in the name of getting like a cool power up.
Yeah.
For the rest of your run.
Yeah, and it works like that in this game, where it's like the whole point to do that is you get, at the end of a mission, depending on how many things you find, and if you did it, you get a chest, and the chest levels up for the different things you did. So if you get all the grimoires, there's also these things called tomes, which don't take away your health, but they take your healing item slot. So you just can't carry a heal item if you want to take a tome out. For all these collectibles you take out of the level, you get a better chest, and the better chest will have better chance to get better gear. So you get incentivized with better stuff, but it makes it way harder. So it's this fun little balance, because when you're going through, you're like, can't we do a grimoire? Are we ready? Do we have enough stuff? Like, are we going to actually make it out? Because if you wipe, you get nothing. And these campaigns or levels take like 20, 30, maybe even 40 minutes. So you don't want to waste all the time you put in just to get the grimoire, because then you're just out and you got nothing for that whole run. So it's a fun little like meta aspect that also like helps turn each run on its head.
I am beginning to notice that I just love games with runs.
Runs are great. Replayable. See, and they're like, Destiny 2 has that with strikes, but strikes are always the same for the most part. Like, you can do Nightfalls where they're more challenging, and there might be like a wanted enemy, and they do like little modifiers to change it, but it's not like the boss is different, or you can't find a grimoire in Destiny 2.
Yeah, there's not that like oh so tasty procedural generation aspect.
Yeah, just
Destiny.
a little hint of it, to make it spice things up. Like that stuff's great.
Yeah, I think there's something called the Infinite Forest that attempted to be that, but I don't know to what degree of success they achieved with that aspect of Destiny 2.
Yeah, I can't remember. I don't know if I played that one or not. I think I played something that was set in the Infinite Forest, and it was like...
We did do a strike last week that was in the Infinite Forest, but I don't think that's what the Infinite Forest is.
The Halloween event was like that. It was different every time, which is pretty cool. But
the cool thing about Left 4 Dead, and it sounds like Vermintide too, is that it's not just different every time, it's reactive.
Yeah.
Reactively different every time to what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. It's different, and it will throw different things at you, and you have to choose how to do it. So it's not like a randomly generated level. It's just the events that take place and where you find items and all that stuff is different every time. So you can't like go in knowing like, okay, we can burn some health here because there's healing kits up ahead, or we have to save everything for the boss that's in this next area. It's you don't know. You just got to be ready. And it's really fun. It's a good time. You should if it's on sale, you should pick it up if we're still playing it. It's a pretty fun run.
Yeah, I'd like to, because I was really pissed off by the state of the world recently and just not hate played, but I was in a very angsty mood. So I just went and played through a few campaigns in Left 4 Dead 2 by myself. So I've definitely recently been in the mood for this kind of directedly, procedurally generated zombie punch and fest. So yeah, that'd be cool. I'd like to play.
And they just announced, I think it was at the Microsoft event, they're doing the next one. I guess it's not a sequel, but they're making a game just like this, but in the 40K universe.
Oh, Darktide, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Or it's Warhammer 40K Darktide.
Yep.
Corrections, hit us up if that's wrong.
It's Darktide.
But okay, yeah. But still, if Matt's wrong, specifically now, it would
Matt's
be
not.
a correction of Matt. If it would be a correction of Matt, not me, for the record. If it's not called Darktide, I'm just saying. But yeah, that does look very cool. That was like a cinematic trailer, but that's one of those things you kind of know what you're getting. It was a cinematic trailer that had some like Space Marines encountering some like zombies or something like that, and I knew about Vermintide 2 enough to know that, oh, this is Vermintide in space. That sounds fucking dope.
Yep. Yeah, and the game's not polished. The game's really janky. It doesn't run super well. Everyone we've been playing with, we all play on the lowest settings just because we like high frame rate and you can't get anything reasonable otherwise. So I'm guessing Darktide's like that, but it's just a fun game. I don't care. Like it's not a AAA game. It's not pretending to be a AAA game. It's just a good time with some friends.
Speaking of time, it is now time for me to announce the much anticipated end of this podcast, because this has been the Motion Pixels podcast. My name is August Meyer. August, say goodbye. Farewell. Joined this week by my co-host, Matthew Rawlings. Matthew, say goodbye.
Wow. I was going to do something. I was like, no. Goodbye.
Because this has been the Motion Pixels podcast. End theme song.
I'm finished.
This is, I don't know, I don't mean to get political. I don't mean to get political about denuclearization, but this is an anti